February 18th, 2016. From El Cajon, California, this is episode 93 of You Can Bet on That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet on That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. My name's Mark Duvall, and sitting across from me is Dr. Mike.
Hello.
Mike, did you have a good birthday?
Yeah, pretty good birthday. I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Just sat home.
You watched the Super Bowl, though, right?
Watched the boring Super Bowl.
Yeah.
My back was kind of bothering me, so I laid on the ground for most of it and had a hard time staying awake.
Yeah.
Because I kept falling asleep, and then I'd wake up like 3 plays later, and my wife would say, oh, this happened or that. Nothing happened in that game.
No, well, first of all, my prediction of a huge Carolina win sort of didn't come true, so much for that. I tweeted, that's why I don't bet on sports.
Right. Yeah, it's a good thing.
But, I didn't care much for the game. People were saying, oh, well, it's because it was a defensive game, right? Not a lot of scoring. But
no, it wasn't that. Because I've seen defensive games that I'm really into.
Yeah.
It was just kind of boring.
It was a boring game. And I kept thinking to myself, this does not look like the two top seed football teams playing in a football game. So
yeah, well, there were quite a few mistakes, right?
Right.
I mean, sacks and stuff like that. Defensive to me is like some guy makes a diving bat away of a ball that, it's about ready to be caught or something, right? It seemed like two kind of bad teams playing each other where their quarterbacks are getting sacked and so they can't do anything.
Yeah.
It's kind of boring.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's over.
Yeah, it's a typical Super Bowl, right?
Yeah, really. They're
Congrats, NFL.
All right, let's move on. So last episode, Todd called us and he asked if we had heard about the story of how 3, 4, 5 times odds came about in craps. He had heard that it was at the request of some high roller, some whale in Las Vegas,
right?
Wanting that because the payouts would be easier.
It sounds plausible.
Well, Todd posted on Facebook actual documentation of this story. It's at the website nextshooter.com, a craps website.
Never heard of it.
And it actually tells the story about how supposedly there was this whale playing at Bally's, and he requested this 3, 4, 5, and that's how it caught on.
Okay.
Now, again, there's nothing really to back up this story other than on the website it says that the sources were very reliable.
Okay.
What
year was that?
Somebody who worked at Bally's. I don't know. But, figure, when did 3, 4, 5 come around? Was it like early 2000s or something like that?
Oh, I thought it was before that.
Was it before that? Anyway, I'll post a link to it. And, whether it's true or not, the story is out there. Nextshooter.com is a pretty good website in that it has a lot of good information about craps. The problem is they have not updated it in some time. Like they've got a page dedicated to craps conditions in Las Vegas, shows all the casinos. Hasn't been updated since 2009.
So is it still a viable site? I mean, or is it just old?
It's not viable if you want to find out current conditions.
Okay.
But, as far as how the game works and, strategies and payouts and things like that. So
somebody put that on there years ago and just never did anything
hasn't updated
it?
The other weird thing about the site, too, is that there's something wrong with the formatting. And so littered throughout, there are spaces missing between words. So words will just run together. There's just a space missing, and it's rampant throughout the site. So anyway, that's why we haven't mentioned. I mean, there's some good content.
This is on the dark web, right? Is that what this is?
Yeah, you're going to need a special browser to get to it. I'll leave all the details on our show notes. So yeah, that's right. Anyway, 3, 4, 5. Maybe that's where it came from.
Okay, well, let's go with that. Let's just go with that.
Yeah.
And if anyone asks, we'll pretend like we know definitely that's it.
Yeah, we'll just say that's for sure.
And we'll just make up a name for some whale guy.
They had a name, or at least a first name on the story. And again, I'll post a link to it. But yeah, let's make it up. We'll make up the last name and we'll add some credibility to it.
Yeah, we'll use one of our friends.
That's right. And eventually it'll be you.
Yeah.
In about 10 years. Oh, yeah, Dr. Mike was responsible for that, right? He had trouble kind of figuring out
that through.
That's right. All right, another thing related to craps. So a while back, you remember, listener Rick had told us about a bet that he saw at his local casino called the Super Aces.
Yeah, we had never heard of that.
We'd never heard of it. And according to Rick, the bet was if you threw out like a $10 Super Aces, that meant $4 for the horn, and then the rest of the $10, in other words, $6 more on aces.
Okay.
So what you would have was $1 on 3, $1 on 11, $1 on 12, and then $7 on aces.
So I guess you could have a Super 3 too.
Yeah,
the Super 12, whatever. Right.
We asked several of the dealers at Harrah's Southern California. None of them had heard of it.
No. And as a matter of fact, they brought up a good point that it probably was something that somebody bet at that casino regularly. A person who went there all the time, local casino, bet that regularly, and they just came up with a name for it.
Yes.
So when he threw his $10 out there, they just, there's the Super Aces bet.
Yeah, he didn't.
Right.
It could have been something where, once he threw in $10, said, give me the horn.
Right.
And they said, well, what do you want? This is $10. What do you want on a horn? Do you want an $8 horn? Do you want?
Yeah.
No, give me a $4 horn and put the rest on aces. We'll call it Super Aces.
Right. Something like that. Yeah. And so then the Harrah's Rincon people started wanting, because I always bet a two-way world on the come out.
Right.
Plus an ace deuce.
Right. Plus a $10 ace deuce. Right.
So I give them $40. I put a $30 two-way world.
Yeah.
And then I give a $10 ace deuce.
Right.
And so they decided they need to have a name for that.
Right. That's right.
So we don't have to say to new people, he wants a $30 world.
Right.
And they came up with quite a few rude names.
Yeah, they did. I know your daughters listen to the show, so we won't.
No, we're not going to say the names.
We won't say the name of the bet.
Not just for my daughters, but for anybody.
So anyway, yeah, Super Ace. Rick actually saw it at his local casino. It's the Presque Isle Downs and Casino. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Presque. But yeah, it was probably just somebody there who did it. Now it's caught on, and now it's a bet only at that casino that anybody's ever heard of.
It kind of relates to our 3, 4, 5 story, right?
Yeah, right.
It's just something that somebody just made something up.
Yep.
And that was it.
Yep.
That 3, 4, 5 is probably just some dealer at Bally's who started telling people, "Oh yeah, we did that because some whale."
That could be.
It was just some guy in marketing who decided it, right? But they just said, well, just tell him some whale did it. It'll sound impressive.
I have a feeling Super Aces, though, is not going to catch on like 3, 4, 5 odds. It's a stupid bet.
Yeah, it's a very, very stupid. Well, loading up on the aces, I don't understand that.
Well, when it hits, it's a nice payout.
Load up on the ace deuce. That's the one you want to load up on.
It comes up a lot more.
Comes up a lot more.
And that's actually the truth, folks.
Yeah.
Despite our the inflection in our voices. Ace deuce does come up more than aces. Hey, thanks to everyone who's been clicking through our Amazon link. Remember, when you're going to buy something through Amazon, go to our page first, youcanbetonthat.com, and click through our Amazon link at the top of the page. That way, when you make a purchase, we get a little kickback that helps cover the costs of hosting the show, and it doesn't cost you a thing. You'll pay the same price just like normal. All right, we got an email from listener Mitch, and he wanted you to maybe help him out.
Okay.
All right. Now, he goes to casinos with his father-in-law, Roger. Okay. Now, Mitch is a card counter.
Oh, good.
And he kind of uses Roger as a cover for his card counting. So Mitch will be there counting cards.
He's the distraction.
Right. Well, and he's the one who's going to make the bet. He's like the big money player, right?
Oh, the father is.
Yeah, the father-in-law.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
So what'll happen is Mitch will be counting, and then he'll signal Roger to, okay, the count's high, increase your bet, right? And so anyway, he said that when the count gets high and he signals Roger, sometimes Roger will increase his bet, but sometimes he won't. And he said, look, Roger, always do it. When I tap you on the foot or whatever, wherever the signal is, you got to increase your bet. But sometimes he doesn't.
Why doesn't he do it?
I don't know. It's kind of... It
sounds like it's my dad.
I know. This whole thing does sound like your dad. Mitch said that sometimes he'll point to the 6 to 5 blackjack tables and tell Roger, never play there. Sometimes Roger does.
Yep. So that's my dad.
He'll tell Roger, don't play the field at craps. But sometimes he will, right?
Sometimes he will, right.
Okay, so Mitch was hoping that you could do a segment on the show called Doctor's Orders.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay, and you would just give advice to people on how they should gamble.
Okay.
Right, and then you just wrap it up with doctor's orders. Do this, do this, do this. Doctor's orders.
Okay. Don't bet on the field.
Okay.
Definitely don't play 6-5 blackjack.
Uh-huh.
And when the count's high, increase your bet. It's doctor's orders.
There you go. All right. Now,
I mean, it's as simple as that. The doctor said to do it.
That's great. And now we got to get your dad under these doctor's orders too, right?
Well, I've been trying forever.
Stop playing 3-card poker.
Get away from the 3-card poker. Get over here on the craps with us. Right. You know what my dad will say, though? He'll just ignore me. Doctor, he didn't care.
That's right.
He ignores his real doctor.
And he's certainly not going to pay attention to his son.
No. Oh, God. That'd be the worst thing in the world to do.
Son's orders? Would that help?
Yeah, maybe.
All right. Well, Mitch, if Mike feels strongly about some advice that he gives on this show, he'll say doctor's orders, and then
there you go. That's that'll be our little catchphrase from now on.
The catchphrase, and then that you can pass that along to whoever needs some doctor's orders.
And my patients are, I'll start doing it at work to my patient. Look, that's doctor's orders. Follow it. I wish that would work. Jeez, my life would be a lot easier.
It doesn't work on real patients, so it's certainly not going to work on a gambler at a casino.
Right.
Hey, we got an email from Scott. So Scott told a story about how he was playing craps once, and he had a fairly significant bet on the 8, like $120 8, right? And he had some money out on a hard 8 as well. And the dice went through the air, and one of the dice actually landed on his stack, his bet on the 8.
Now, I wonder if that's 4 quarters and 4 nickels.
A lot of times it is. A lot of times it's not a black, and then...
Especially if you're pressing, they won't do that.
Yeah, they won't
until they get
to
150. Then it seems like that's where they like to convert.
That's where they like to change. But sometimes they won't. But a lot of times if you see a $120 bet, it's usually 4 greens and 4 reds.
So that's a pretty tall stack. Yeah. That's 8 chips.
So one of the dice landed on top of that stack, and it was a 7 out. The die that fell on the table was a 4, and the die that was up on the stack was a 3.
Okay.
7 out. And as the dealers were about to move in and start collecting all the bets, the die actually fell off the stack onto a 4, and it became a hard 8. Okay. So he won the 8 place bet. He won the hard 8, and everybody was, very happy.
Right. Oh, that would be a happy table.
That's great. Yeah, wouldn't that be great?
Especially if it was kind of slow how it happened.
Yeah.
I mean, not slow enough that you couldn't call it real quick. Oh, that's a 7. But just slow enough so everyone could see it was a 7.
Yeah.
You know how sometimes that happens.
Right.
Usually it's the other way. Usually
good thing it wasn't the other way around. It's a hard 8 on the stack, and then it falls off, and it's a 7.
That's usually the way it is for me. You see the dice, and it's like, oh, hard 6, and then it hits a chip and just bounces over to 7.
Yeah,
it happens.
So Mitch was asking, what weird things have we seen the dice do on the craps tables? Can you think of some examples?
Well, none that exciting. Yeah. I mean, I've never seen it land on a stack that tall.
Yeah.
Frequently, you see where it's up against the rail. And
it's kind of at an angle. Or
weird angle, and it's kind of a hard judgment call.
Yeah.
And you'll see it against chips. You'll see it. You'll see it hit a chip and bounce out.
Yeah.
I've seen 2 dice land in the boat by the stick man.
Right. Yeah.
Both dice in the boat.
Yeah.
The other night, didn't one of the players throw both dice off the table into the stick person?
Yes.
Not one hit the table.
No, not one hit the table, and they didn't even go to the other end of the table.
No,
they went
hit the stick
right
person.
to the stick person who's in the middle of the table.
It was like he was aiming for her chest.
That was
just
so funny.
Hit her in the chest.
That was so funny.
And everyone's like, what?
I'll remind you of an example. I see if you remember this. So, you were talking about the boat. So the boat is the tray, basically, that holds the dice.
The extra dice.
Right. So usually there are like 6 dice, 6 dice that players can choose from. And once they've chosen the 2 dice they're going to use, the rest of the dice go into this boat, this little container, this tray. So if one of the dice actually rolls into the tray on a roll, it's no roll.
It's no roll.
Because how can they tell which die, is the right one, right?
Well, it's also no roll if they roll up on the stack of chips.
On the bank.
On the
bank,
bank,
right.
yeah.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And why they do that,
I don't know why that is.
I'm not sure, because that's usually pretty obvious.
Yeah. We're talking about the bank, all the chips that the house has, the big bunch that are in front of the boxman there. Well, I wonder if you remember this, and I think it was at Caesar's Palace. The dice go through the air, and one of them bounces and lands on the edge of the boat. The edge of the tray, perfectly balanced, right on the edge of the boat. I do
remember that.
Right?
Yeah.
And the dealer's looking like it, I've been doing this 30 years, never seen anything like this. Because imagine how perfect it would have to be to stop in a certain way.
It'd
be
hard enough to place it on the edge. It's a little thin boat. I mean, it's not, you could do it, right?
Yeah.
You could place it there and you could, real slowly.
But, the dice is moving, so it would have to have this perfect bounce kind of up and down and just stop. Yeah. And it was no roll because, it hit the boat, even though clearly that was the die that was rolled. But do you remember that?
Funny. It sounds really familiar.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't say that I distinctly remember, but I do remember something weird like that.
Yeah.
That's probably the weirdest thing.
That's the weirdest thing I've ever seen, yeah.
I'm still amazed that a die could land on top of 8 chips.
Well, I mean,
you have to be perfect.
Yeah, that's another thing where it would have to be perfect. And it didn't land, right? It actually rolled off.
It actually rolled off. Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
I can't really think of anything other. I mean, we've all seen them go off and hit people. You've seen them go down women's blouses.
Sure, it went down my wife's, yes.
Yeah, I've seen it go in people's pockets.
Yeah,
I've
sure.
seen that. They're looking all around. It's in the guy's pocket.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
We've seen him go a long ways.
Yes,
past the table, right?
Never to be found again.
Never to be found again. The other night, one went off, and you kept looking for it.
Yep.
And the guy next to you had actually caught it.
And
so you're like looking all over
at the blackjack tables.
And we're like, Mark,
excuse me.
He's got it here.
All right, let's move on to our voicemail hotline. Don't forget, call our hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS.
9512-WAGERS.
And maybe we'll play your clip on the show. First up is Jeremy.
Hey, guys. Jeremy from Nashville, New Hampshire. And want to say I'm a huge fan of the show. Just recently got into the whole art of recreational gambling. And had a couple questions for you tonight. First of all, I, in my gambling pursuit, recently come upon a few instances of some free bets, and I got a $200 free bet from the Mohegan Sun, and I went to the pass line, to craft my game like you guys, as well, and just lost $200 right there. I mean, it wasn't my $200, it's $60. But anyways, I was wondering what the best bet there is for a free bet so that I can actually get money to play with. Second question is, when are you guys going to come out to the Foxwoods for Mohegan? I want to gamble with you guys, and we got a couple of awesome casinos out here. I'll take you out to the Twin River, which is a little more of a ghetto casino, but they got some good payouts there. But anyways, hope to see you guys out here sometime in the future, and let me know about that free bet. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Okay, so yeah, let's say you've got a free bet that you can just make somewhere on a table. Usually it has to be an even money bet. Yeah. Right. So Jeremy put it on the pass line, and that's fine. That's actually not a bad bet to make, right?
No, that's a pretty good bet.
That's actually pretty good.
You know what I hate, though, and he didn't say this. Did he have to play all 200? I mean, I wonder if they gave him $25 vouchers.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I hate that. They always want to give you like one voucher for 200.
Right.
Give the guy,
yeah, if he's got $200, it would be nice if he could split it up so he doesn't have to risk it all in one place.
You don't have to go down to $5, but you know, the casino should at least give you $25, right?
I don't know. Maybe if he'd ask, who knows? But to get back to his question, if you've got something like that and it's a free play that you can play, pass line is good. Don't pass on the craps table is better because pass line is 1.41% house edge. Don't pass is 1.36% house edge. But you're actually going to do better if you go over to the baccarat table, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, that's your best bet.
Right. So at baccarat, I should say, if the baccarat table, if you bet on the player, the house edge is 1.24%. And if you bet on the banker, it's 1.06%. So the banker is definitely, the best as far as a house edge goes.
You have to pay a vig, though.
That's the thing. If you do bet on bank, so if he put his $200 out there, and he won, he'd have to pay that 5% vig. So his winnings would actually be $190.
Right. Yeah, he's going to lose $10 on that.
So if you really want to double your money, so to speak, and make it pay 100%, then I'm thinking the player at baccarat is probably the best way to go.
Well, statistically, yes.
Right. If you're looking, if you don't mind paying the 10% vig, you're more likely to win if you bet on the banker. So that's a good recommendation, too.
Of course, it kind of depends, too, on what you want to do.
Yes.
For instance, I would hate to walk up to the baccarat table, make that $200 free bet, and walk away.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not going to play baccarat. Now, if you're going to play craps anyway, just put it on the pass line.
Sure, yeah. I mean, if you're just talking, one-time thing, it really doesn't matter that much.
It doesn't matter too much.
But, I mean, if depending on what your definition of best, what's the best bet I can make, at least mathematically we can say, go to the baccarat table and,
you sure it's not three-card poker?
I would say no, only because of the multiple bets that you have to make.
You put a $200 free bet, and then you got to back it up with
That's right, you got no more.
Your own money.
Well, see, now I'm glad you mentioned that because, a lot of people would think, well, why not just go bet on a hand of blackjack with this free bet? Now, I mean, you could do that, but here's the thing.
What if you have to double down?
Right. When you're playing perfect basic strategy at blackjack, the house edge might be less than 1%, but if you're playing it perfectly, sometimes maybe you have to double down or split.
Yeah, right. I could just see me, $200 free bet. I put it down, I get a pair of 8s against a 6.
Right.
And I split them, I get another 8. And I got all this out there, I end up with a bunch of 18s and some 14s or something, and the dealer turns over a 3 and gets a 10. I lose, $800 on my free bet.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing, right? You'd have have to decide, okay, I'm going to bet on blackjack, but if there is a double down situation or a split situation, I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah.
If you don't want to put more money out there, but then you're not playing basic strategy perfectly, and then, the house edge goes up.
I mean, maybe not so bad on a double down, right? Because you're not going to
put any more out there, right?
And you've got a good hand. Right. But I'll tell you what, you get a split.
Yeah.
My example, you get a pair of eights against like a 6 and you don't split.
Yeah.
You're playing 16.
Yeah. See, this is the thing, and a lot of people probably aren't aware of this. When you are splitting eights at a blackjack table, that's so that you reduce how much money you lose in the long run.
You're trying to reduce your losses.
You've still got a bad hand, right? You're not
sure. Yeah. I mean, best case scenario, you're going to get a couple 19s, right?
Yeah, right. But best case scenario, you hit to 21.
Right. Well, best case scenario. You could do that. But I mean, more than likely, you're going to have 18 or 19 or something.
You're going to lose less in the long run by splitting. And, that's all that.
You're not going to win more.
At the same time, maybe you get blackjack, right? And it pays 3-2. Now that, again, will the voucher allow a 3-2 payout on blackjack, or is it even money no matter what? That's the other thing you need to be aware of.
Right. So here's my question to you, and I guess to Jeremy as well. What if you're not concerned what the best bet is? Your concern is, what can I make the most money at?
Then I guess blackjack, right? Because it's technically it has to be an even money bet. I mean, that's what we're talking about, right?
So you can't red or black on the...
Well, that's even money.
Right.
Right? The only even money, quote unquote, bet that you can make and actually win more than even money that I can think of is blackjack.
Yeah,
right?
you can get
a blackjack. Yeah. If they'll pay that.
Right. Yeah, I wonder, they may not pay that.
Or the field.
Yeah, the field now.
In craps, right? If a 2 or 12 comes up.
Yeah, we've had problems with that in the past.
We've seen problems with that. People trying to do their free play,
People did their free play and they said, no, you can't bet it there. It's not an even money bet.
Right, yeah.
And they're like, well, it is even money. No, if 2 or 12 comes up, it's not even money.
Or we've seen it also where the guy makes the bet, 12 comes up, and they only pay him even money.
Right, yeah.
Right? So,
yeah, we have seen that. So, we've seen a lot of arguments over that, actually.
So I guess I'll take back what I said about blackjack. If you are at a craps table and they will pay triple on the 12, even on a free bet, an even money free bet, then that's probably where you'd make the most money.
Right.
But still, bad house edge, so it's not the best bet.
It's not the best bet. If you're strictly house edge, the banker at Baccarat is probably your best bet.
And then Jeremy was saying, hey, when are we going to Connecticut? Well, let's hear from Vito a little bit more about the Connecticut casinos.
Okay.
Hey guys, Vito from Connecticut, new listener. Figured I'd call in with a little trip report and a comparison of the Connecticut tribal casinos. Trip report's pretty short. Went over Valentine's Day weekend. It was a downward spiral the entire time, so no use giving out details on that, as it would probably put a damper on the podcast. But I figured I'd give you guys some information on these two competing tribal casinos in Connecticut. As a person who goes to both of them often, I figured some of the details would be interesting for you. First of all, Mohegan Sun Casino has 5 times odds on their craps tables and has $5 tables often, not all the time. Foxwoods, on the other hand, has 10 times odds on craps and also no vig on buy bets. I believe there's an asterisk, so they probably take a vig if you win. But I don't place buy bets, so I really don't know. That'd be more for you to read into if you go.
I think if they're advertising, no vig, it means that you pay on a win.
Yeah,
right.
I'm sure they collect it on
that's
a
probably
win.
what
it's just no upfront vig.
No upfront vig. The only casino that we know of where there's no vig on buy bets at all is at the Santa Ana Star Casino in New Mexico. Okay. They have absolutely free buy bets on the 4 and 10 up to $100.
Okay, only up to $100.
Up to $100.
Yeah, that's important.
But that's huge.
Yeah.
There's no house edge, right?
You have $100 for. Yep. And then you get the person next to you to put $100. You just give them $100. You just have them all the way around the table. Everyone has $100 for.
That's right.
So you can get your $500 for.
Yeah, if that's really important to you. You don't have an edge, right? That's it,
right.
But
you're still going to lose $500.
That's right, because if that 4's not coming up,
never.
Yeah.
And since you're from the other side of the country, I figured I'd give you a couple tips and pointers if you're planning on staying out here. Now, while Mohegan seems to be the more popular casino, it has great architecture, fun environment. Foxwoods tends to give better comps. So if you were to come out here and play a little, I could see you getting 2 free rooms a week, just like I do. I'm a low-limit gambler, so I don't usually expect a lot of comps. Mohegan makes you work harder for them, but they're the party spot, so more people tend to go there, and they really don't have to give out as many comps to people. Stay at Foxwoods if you want the free rooms for sure. The showers at Foxwoods are wonderful. The MGM Grand Tower has the beautiful, like the raindrop heads. The pressure is unbelievable. So if you're coming for a vacation, I recommend the Foxwoods Resort for the showers and the huge property. But if you're coming to have a good time, I would say go to Mohegan. It's a little more expensive, a little more compact, but overall it's a better atmosphere. And one last point, Foxwoods now has dollar blackjack. While I walked for what felt like hours around the resort to find a open craps table or even a $5 craps table, there were dollar blackjack tables all over the Fox Tower side of the establishment. And I've also noticed the dreaded crap machines or the crap slot machines are popping up at Foxwoods. I haven't noticed them at Mohegan, but I'm afraid that might be a sign of things to come, and we're going to see less crap tables as I had to leave the Fox Tower to go play craps on a Tuesday morning because they had no tables open. Several tables empty, but no tables open. So thanks, guys. Enjoys the show.
No, thanks, Vito. He got cut off there with we've got that 3-minute limit on our phone calls. But thanks. Great information about those casinos there. I don't know that those automated craps machines.
Now, this isn't the shoot to win.
Yeah,
craps.
I think it's the shoot to win.
Is that what he's
craps.
talking about? Because when
yeah.
he said crap slot machines, I
think
is there a slot machine?
It's still the same thing. It just mimics the game of craps, but it's a machine.
It's the shoot to win craps.
Yeah. I don't think that means the death knell of live craps because I think that's more for people who are just too shy to go up to a craps table.
Well, it's not very interactive.
Yeah, well,
really,
not like
you think you're sitting around a table, but you don't have really time to interact with anyone else.
No, you've got to pay attention to the bets that you need to make.
Quick, too.
I think it's a good learning tool because it usually has lower limits. But I think craps tables are, if the craps tables go away, it won't be because of these machines.
It'll be because we were invaded by Great Britain, and they took over the country.
Yeah, they said, well, we don't care for this game of craps. Let's
getting
just
rid of that.
it.
First thing we're doing.
Yeah. And then important too, on the dollar blackjack at Foxwoods. Now, Robin at anytimegambling.net, he actually wrote an article about those dollar blackjack games at Foxwoods. And warning, they have a 25-cent commission on each hand.
No matter what you bet?
Well, I think it's like anything below $10 if you're at one of those dollar tables.
Okay.
But
so if you were at that dollar table playing with your buddy and you were betting $10 or $15, no commission.
I might be wrong. It could be that there are commission tables and non-commission tables, but just beware if you're going to play dollar blackjack. That's 25 cents a hand. That's way too much to pay.
Oh my God,
in the long
ridiculous.
Run. But if you're just there to have fun and get drinks, and you don't want to lose a ton of money, it's just $1.25 a hand basically is what you're risking.
So $1.25 a hand. Yeah.
But that's great information about those.
It's very
casinos
good.
Over there.
Now, I would tend to say we go to Mohegan Sun because I like to say Mohegan. That's fun to say.
Look, if we go, and I'll tell you, I'll just be honest with you right now, with the point that we're at in our lives, we're not going anytime soon. We would love to go. I mean,
we would go if possible. We would go next week.
We would love to go.
It's just not. It's probably not.
So
if
it happens, it's probably going to be a few years from now, to be honest. But when we do,
I will wager you right now, it's less than 3 years.
You think that'd be great?
Yeah.
Okay.
Somehow we're going to end up there.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know how, but somehow we're going to end up there. And the other thing, Mohegan's fun to say, but Foxwoods. That's where the Impractical Jokers have done several.
Oh, you like that
things.
show on that? Yeah, Foxwoods. Okay.
Yeah, and they're always at Foxwoods. And it looks pretty nice, when you see it on the thing. I kind of thought it looked pretty cool. Yeah. And it's cool that they let those people screw around with their blackjack players,
Oh, is that what they did on the show?
Oh, yeah, they dealt blackjack.
Oh, okay.
And they did all kinds of goofy stuff to people. And I mean, just gave them money.
Yeah.
Or took money.
Right. Yeah, that'd be a little more of a concern if I were duped into this. Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, if and when we go, we'll go to both places, right?
Yeah.
We're not going to go to Connecticut and only
No.
go to one of them. We'll definitely hit both of them. But All right. Well,
we got to find a reason to go to Connecticut.
Yeah, we talked about it.
A reason that our wives will agree with.
right.
There's something in Connecticut that they really want to do.
That's right. They got great syrup there, I understand.
Yeah. Syrup. They had shoes. It's great shoes that I need.
All right. Let's hear a call about crapless craps.
Hey, guys. It's Rick D. from Jersey. How are you? Got a question about crapless craps. Maybe if you could talk a little bit about the odds and how it works and maybe what some of the best bets are. I would appreciate that. And looking forward to playing some craps with you guys at Viz. And have a great day. Bye.
Oh, yeah. Viz coming up, right? April 1st, we're going to be there.
Driving over here tonight, I was thinking, I can't wait for April 1st.
I know. It's coming up quick.
Yeah. Usually I dread that.
Yeah.
But this year I'm kind of looking forward to it.
Yeah. I hope there's not a lot of fooling at the table like, 6, winner 6. No, sir, it's a 7 out. April Fools. I hope you appreciate our joke.
Yeah, right.
So crapless craps, the way crapless craps works. Well, let's start off by saying if you have a choice between a regular craps table and crapless craps, go to the regular craps table. Okay.
Right. Unless you just, for whatever reason, want to have like a few minutes of fun. I mean, just goofy fun.
Yeah, let's talk about how it works, and then we'll say what you mean by that, because I know what you're saying. So the way crapless craps works is that on the come out roll, any number, except for 7, obviously, can be your point.
You can have a point of 2,
right,
point
2,
of 3, 12,
11, 12. And then all the points that are, points in a regular craps game, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. So, if you roll a 2 on that come out roll, they mark the 2, and now 2 is the point, and you have to roll a 2 before a 7 in order to win.
Right.
Now, the reason this is so bad, because you're thinking, oh, well, good, I don't automatically lose on a 2 or 12. I may actually win if I can roll it again. Well, that's true.
You don't automatically win on an 11, though,
the automatic winner of 11 now becomes a probable loser.
More than likely loser.
Right, exactly. Well, that's what probable means, Mike.
Just defining that for my children.
That's right. Okay, so as a result, there's no don't. You can't bet the don't on a table like this because, you couldn't have the reverse of that and the house still have an edge.
Right.
The pass line on this crapless craps actually has a house edge of over 5%. Compare that to the 1.41% that it has on a regular craps game. Yeah. That is significant.
3.5 times as much simply because, your 2 can be your point.
Right, yeah. So the only reason that you would play crapless craps is if for some reason you like the idea of possibly having a 3 for a point or a 2 or 11 or 12.
You can also make place bets on 2, 3, 11, and 12.
Yeah, that's something you cannot do at a regular craps table. That's
right. And I have seen people who like to play crapless craps. Actually, the last time I played at a table like that, it was because the guy said, "Oh, I love placing the 2."
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, I mean, that would be a good reason to do it if you really enjoyed that, because there's no way to make a place bet on a 2 at a regular craps table. And again, a place bet is betting that number will come up before a 7.
Right, as opposed to just betting a 2 on a regular table where it's a one-time roll.
Right.
And so he liked the fact that he could put $10 on a 2 and it would sit out there the whole roll.
Right. Now, if you place the 2 or 12, it pays 11 to 2. And if you place the 2 or 11, it pays 11 to 4. And also, you can take odds on your pass line bet and come bets. And you can take odds on, these 2, 3, 11, 12. 2 and 12 pay 6 to 1. On your odds,
right?
And 3 and 11 pay 3 to 1. So yeah, if you are able to re-roll one of these really difficult points,
right?
Your odds would pay very well.
What's the most odds you've seen on a crapless craps table,
Mike? I'll tell you, the last time I was at a crapless craps table, more than 20 years ago, I don't remember anything about the odds.
Yeah, the most I can remember seeing is double odds.
Yeah.
I distinctly remember the last time playing crapless craps, and I think it was my trip to Lake Tahoe.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Remember
you did mention that. Yes.
Yeah, because they had one table and they had 2 other, and the other 2 were full. So I went over there and played. And if I'm not mistaken, I think they only had double odds on that table.
Well, now I might be wrong on this, but I know I'm right on this. They definitely have crapless craps at Stratosphere,
right?
Because Bob Stupak actually created it back when it was Vegas World, right? So they do have it there. I also want to say they have 100 times odds.
Really?
Whether that's true or not, still I don't know. So you could possibly play crapless craps with 100 times odds.
Boy, that'd be something. Your point's 12, and you've got $100 out there, right?
No, nobody does. Nobody. So really, I mean, the only good bets on the Crapless Craps table are the placing the 6 and 8. They're really the only thing that have a relatively low house edge.
Right.
Because now come bets and pass line bets are over 5%, whereas, the 6 and 8 are still under 2%. So good bets to make, but, if you're talking about math, just the 6 and 8. If you're talking about anything else, well, a good bet is just a bet that makes you happy.
Yeah. Well, 6, 8, 5, 9, I guess. 5 and 9 would be your second best bets.
Well, no, see, those aren't good bets on a regular craps table.
Right, I know, but I mean on a Crapless Craps, if you wanted to do more than place the 6 and 8.
Well, yeah, I can't recommend that, though.
No,
if you're just talking
it's still
about
not a good bet,
yeah.
but it's better than placing the 2 or 12.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, that that is true on those place bets. The house edge is pretty high on placing the 2, 3, 11, and 12. Yeah, higher than normal place bets.
But people do play this game because it's interesting.
Yeah, sure. Well, and I got no problem with that. That's fine. Because just keep in mind that if you're going to go to a table, that's why. Because 2, 3, 11, and 12 are a little bit different.
Well, when I played in the last time in Lake Tahoe, I played it like I was playing at a regular craps table.
Sure.
So I just made a pass line bet, and when 2 was the point, I took odds and everything. I wasn't happy.
Yeah.
And I couldn't wait until some space opened up on the other tables.
Yeah.
But I just played it, and I didn't place the 2 or the 12.
No, you were just going like inside, right? That was typically what you do. You just made place bets inside. Yeah. All right. So listener Bill sent us 10 questions that we're going to answer. Now, he has sent us 10 questions in the past. He sent us another 10 questions. So let's jump into it, shall we?
All right.
All right. Number 1. Are there any other table games you enjoy besides craps? If so, which ones and why? Well,
what's your second favorite after craps?
Gosh, at this point, it might be Pai Gow Poker.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the thing is,
we used to play years ago, as we said before, tons of Pai Gow.
Yeah.
And we both enjoy playing Pai Gow.
Yeah. It's funny because he's saying, are there any other table games you enjoy besides craps? We really do enjoy almost every game at the casino.
Right.
It's just when there's a craps table there, that's where we go.
That's where we
right?
choose. That's our number one thing.
Yeah.
I think second might be Pai Gow, and then Blackjack's pretty close in there for me.
Yeah. Blackjack has become so robotic for me that I don't quite enjoy it as much.
Right. It's not that enjoyable.
Yeah, but with Pai Gow, there's always, well, not always, but sometimes there are decisions to be made, and it's a little. Well,
even when there aren't decisions, you get to look at your cards. It's like playing a hand of poker, right? It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
It's some of the other games like 3-card poker.
Three-card poker, yeah.
It's interesting.
Sure.
It's somewhat interesting. It's not my first choice.
No.
But we do enjoy it if we have to play it. I wouldn't recommend playing it.
No, but I like Mississippi Stud, the Ultimate Texas Hold'em.
4-card poker.
Mm-hmm, Crazy 4 poker.
Crazy 4
We played
poker,
that before, yeah. But I'd probably put Pai Gow.
Okay, so I'll add
Pai Gow poker, not Pai Gow tiles. I've forgotten how to play
I'll
that.
add a 1A to his question.
All
What's
right.
your least favorite table game?
Well, it'd probably be Chuck-a-Luck, and luckily I don't see that at the casino very often.
Okay, yeah. All right, Chuck-a-Luck.
I don't know if that's a real answer.
Go back to an early episode if you want to find out what Chuck-a-Luck is.
What's yours?
Well, no, I mean games they play now. Answer me.
All right,
now.
give you a real answer. Okay.
Caribbean Stud. That's your answer.
That's
your answer. I'm going to answer for you. It's Caribbean Stud Poker.
Nobody has it anymore. So
no, they don't. But I'm sure it's around somewhere.
Yeah, that is an aggravating game because
it's a very aggravating game.
When the dealer does not qualify, you could have a great hand and get virtually nothing out of it.
And any game that you can't, is it Caribbean or Caribbean?
It's Caribbean. All you have to remember that it's Caribbean is just think Pirates of the Caribbean. You don't say Pirates of the Caribbean.
That's
right?
true.
It's Pirates of the Caribbean. Just think of that in your head, and then you'll always know how to pronounce Caribbean.
I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight.
All right, question 2. If you win quite a bit at the beginning of your night/trip, do you have a strategy to lock up the win?
Absolutely not.
I don't think we do. We should.
We should have a strategy. Our strategy would be to go home.
If we were smart. The strategy usually means, I am up so much money, let's play.
There'll be no sleeping, no eating, nothing. We're going to play until we're broke.
Yeah, that's the answer. We have nothing more to say on that. Number 3, if you gambled with real money instead of chips, do you think you would wager less? I'm sure I would.
Oh, I know I would. I know I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's, when real money goes out of your hand. Think about it. It's like when you go to the store, right, to buy something. you're paying with real money, and you look for the bargain. You're buying the off-brand because it's saving you like $1, right?
Yeah, sure.
You go into a casino with chips, you're placing the 2.
Right. But it's true. You're throwing like, a $25 chip like it's nothing.
Right.
And if it was $25 in any other, situation, how much are you going to pay for lunch? $25? That's outrageous.
Yeah,
So,
I'm not going to McDonald's for $25, right? But you do it at a craps table. You just throw it out there.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would say the same thing. And the casino counts on that too. That's, one of the reasons that they make money.
It's a mindset. A lot of what happens in a casino to the player and the casino as well is all psychological stuff, right?
Yeah. Number 4, do you feel skill-based gaming will be popular? And what are some that are being considered? What would be your guys' idea for a skill-based casino game? I hate to guess if they're going to be popular or not. I hope they are, just because it'll be something new and interesting. As far as games that have been developed, we've heard about, pinball-based games,
right.
Video game-based games.
I would prefer a game more based mentally, like a Jeopardy type game or a Wheel of Fortune type game or something where you had to think. And, they could do it as easy as something like Trivial Pursuit, where it's popular stuff.
The problem with something like that, though, is how many questions can they come up with before things start repeating? Right. But at the same time, if you're competing with other people around a bank of slots,
right?
And
whoever gets the answer first.
Yeah, that's it. Right. And they're still not maybe 100%. They're not over the house edge, right? They're still at a disadvantage. So the things like that. I guess if I was going to develop a game, I'd probably go old school and have like a Pac-Man. It'd be like a slot machine, and then your bonus round would be Pac-Man. And, if you could, get all the dots within a certain amount of time.
I just don't know how long you do that for, right? So you get to the bonus round, you're playing Pac-Man. Well, how long are you going to let the guy sit there and play Pac-Man?
Well, that's what I'm saying is it's like one screen. It's like, okay, get all the dots in the shortest amount of time. So it might not be, the same strategy you'd use in a regular Pac-Man game.
Right, you'd have to put a limit on it.
Right,
time-wise, because the casino's losing money. You got to think from their standpoint, right?
Yeah, sure.
They're losing money if you're not pushing that button.
Yeah. But that would be my guess. I hope they're popular. I hope we see them sooner than later. Supposedly they're right around the corner.
I think anything new like that will be popular, at least initially.
Initially, yeah. Number 5, would you ever consider retiring in Las Vegas? No.
Absolutely not.
Nope.
I'll tell you what, early in my career, I thought about moving there because there was a lot of openings and it would have been easy to start a practice and get a job and everything. And Vegas was booming. There were a lot of new homes going in. And I thought I was single and I thought, hey, and then I thought, what are you thinking?
And see, it's not that we're against living in Las Vegas. It's at least for me, I want to keep Vegas special. I want that to be my special location to go, you know.
Well, because if you live there, if I lived there, I couldn't go down to the Strip every weekend.
Right. It would be different. It would be a lot different than you and I going out to Harrah's every weekend.
Where we drive a long ways and we get there and we have to be home because we got stuff to do the next day. There you might go and you might get off work at 5 and just go, right?
Right. Everything's so close.
Yeah, it's so close. And there are local casinos even.
Sure, right.
You don't have to go to the Strip. There's probably a casino, 5 minutes from every house in Vegas. And for me that would be bad.
I want to keep Vegas special. I want that to be a trip that I make.
Exactly.
At least every once in a while. So.
Yeah, if you go, it's just like when you go too often, after a while it's not special anymore.
Number 6. Do you think they will ever change the law in your state that will allow your local casinos to use solely dice rather than the dice/cards combo? Excuse the pun, but what is the point of the current law?
Well, the answer is no. It'll never change.
No, it's never going to change.
And it's because the point you always make.
Yeah.
They don't have to change it.
Right. They've got craps and they've got roulette using cards.
Right.
It's out there. So nobody is going to be championing any kind of legislation to get real dice and real roulette.
Right. If they didn't have craps and some casino wanted to champion that to make a name for themselves, you might see it happen.
Maybe.
Because it makes sense, right? Yeah. It's a stupid law.
Yeah.
But because there's no real reason to get rid of it.
Yeah. Why the law exists initially, you'd have to ask the people that actually wrote it, but I'm guessing that they thought, well, if we just say all games have to be based on cards, their thought was that way we won't have a full-blown casino on our hands.
Right.
Right? And so that's what it comes down to. So no, unfortunately, I don't think the law is going to change.
No.
Number 7. Even though mathematically each roll of the dice has an independent outcome, Do you still get caught up feeling someone is on a hot or cold streak? Yeah, absolutely, I do.
I do.
My rational brain knows that that's not true, but some of the fun of playing is like, hey, we're on a hot roll. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. All the time, in the middle of a hot roll, when things are going great and I've got all my numbers pressed and I got all my hardways out there, inevitably, every single time in my mind, I say to myself, 7's coming.
Yeah.
I just hope it's not this roll.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
It's kind of like death. You know it's coming. You just hope it's not tonight.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
And sometimes it is that next roll, but sometimes they roll 10 more times after you think that. So in your mind, you know there's no such thing, but you're just hoping, please, this one time.
I know. And then the
roll.
next, it's a hot roll, and then here go the dice again, and it's an 8. It's like, yes, another number.
Right.
It's hot. It's part of the fun. But of course, our logical brains realize that's never the case, but it's fun in the moment to think that way. Yeah. Number 8, do you blame the casino for offering more games with 6 to 5 blackjack or the people who play them? The people who play them, I almost can't blame the casino for doing it.
Right.
We've talked about how angry they are that they do it and how mad we are at them.
It's good business for them, though.
That's the thing.
You'd have
right?
to blame the people, really. It's kind of like when I go through the drive-thru at Taco Bell.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
and I order 3 items.
Just 3.
Yep. And I get 14 taco sauces in the bag. I always think to myself, are these people idiots? I mean, they gave me 14 sauces for 3 items. Mm-hmm. They're losing money. Why wouldn't they just give you 3? And, if you want more, you could ask for more or something. And then I'm thinking, well, maybe they're smart. Maybe they're thinking, keep this guy happy, give him plenty of taco sauce, and he keeps coming back. Because if you give him too little,
then he gets angry, right?
Then he gets angry, right? And it's the casinos are doing the same thing, right? Provide blackjack, make it appealing, and give free drinks out, but it'll be 6-5.
Okay. I'm not sure I appreciate that analogy, but I think I understand what you're getting at.
Yeah, I always get too much taco sauce, and I just want to vent that right now.
That's why you're not going to sleep tonight. You're thinking about all the taco sauce that showed up in your bag. Yeah. Number 9. If you were going to create a reality TV show about casinos, do you feel it would be more interesting to follow a group of high rollers / whales? You see them play, win or lose, the comps, etc. Or the show can be about the staff and all the behind the scenes, all the interesting departments, executives, dealers' lives, break room discussions, etc. It's funny. They've done the latter, and I don't know. I guess the show was kind of interesting, for there had actually been several shows about behind the scenes at the casino.
Right.
So I guess based on that, I'd prefer something where you're following around high rollers. But
see, now I'm looking at this from like if I was going to make money at a TV, if I'm going to create a show where I want to make money, I go behind the scenes.
Yeah.
We get a hot dealer, a good-looking female dealer, right?
Okay.
And a guy, too, who's kind of good-looking.
All right.
You follow them. And, that's what's going to sell, right?
Okay.
Nobody's going to watch some 57-year-old middle-aged guy who's overweight gamble.
Now, what would you watch? What would you want to see?
Well, I'd want to see the 57-year-old
Exactly.
guy.
I think that's the answer.
What would sell on TV is the hot dealers and the, behind the scenes, the showgirls and all that.
I'm just afraid that the reality shows that they have created based on casinos have kind of been a bust. I don't think...
They probably ruined it for any other attempts
I can't see it being successful no matter what you do. And unfortunately, the ones that have existed, a lot of them were so staged.
Right.
And, that's
well, anything like that would have to be staged.
You'd almost have... Yeah.
Even if you're following a whale guy around, right? He knows he's being... he's not going to... He's not going to finish his crap saying and go up to his room and, have an escort or something, right? That's probably not going to happen.
Not on the show,
Not on the show. Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
No, it probably you're not going to see a reality show like that.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see too many, in the future. Yeah. Last question, number 10. If you hit the Powerball for $800 million, he originally sent these questions, when the Powerball was just before it got up to $1 billion. If you hit the Powerball for $800 million, would you still go to the casino? Would it still be fun to gamble?
Oh, without a doubt.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
we
would have a blast.
My wife already said if we do, she would take a certain amount. Mm-hmm. She didn't say what amount, but that would be your gambling stash.
That's what my wife said too.
When that's gone, you got to go back to your regular play. Yeah, you could go blow it all in one night, or you could make it last your lifetime. Yeah. But it's only a certain amount I'd get. The rest would go into the family.
My wagers would go up, but I'd probably play about the same, and but just maybe enjoy it a little bit more, just because I know I have a ton of money to play with. Yeah,
we would never know though if either of us. No one will ever know if either of us hit the lotto.
How so?
We won't announce it.
We'll just drop off. The podcast will just suddenly stop.
Yeah, seriously, you would not want to change your life. I mean, I wouldn't want someone to know I won $1 billion.
No.
Oh my God, your kids would be kidnapped.
Yeah. I mean, I know. If
you went out to the casino and every week you're playing $10 on the line, and all of a sudden you're playing, $1,000 on the line. I think people might figure something was up. Right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
No, you'd probably play the same way, actually.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for the questions, Bill. All right. That's going to do it for this episode. Hey, we want to thank Jeff for a PayPal donation. He sent us the very popular $14 donation. Just in case we have new listeners who are thinking, what's the deal with this $14? Go back and listen to our VIMP episode. It was basically, two players within the course of like 5 minutes who had nothing to do with each other bought into the craps table for $14. $14.
It's such a weird
It's
amount.
So strange. Hey, be sure to check out our TV listings showing all the gambling-related shows coming up within the next 2 weeks. We update those listings every Wednesday using a customized program to search through all the raw American TV data. Just go to our webpage, youcanbetonthat.com, and click on the link at the top that says TV listings. We'd love to hear from you. Call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 951-2-WAGERS. Or you can email us at youcanbetonThat@gmail.com. Also, follow us on Twitter at YouCanBetOnThat. We always tweet when we're heading to a casino, and we'd love to meet up with you. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/YouCanBetOnThat. And finally, head on over to iTunes and write a review on us. When you do, it helps us get new listeners. What do you got to say here at the end, Mike?
Basically, I'd just like to say I'm really excited about April 1st.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yep.
We've heard from several listeners that we know who are going to be there.
Yep, right.
So that's kind of fun. It's like catching up with some old friends.
Yep.
And I'm looking forward to that. Not much else is going on.
Yeah, it's been kind of up and down at the casino, but we're doing okay.
No, we're still up for the year.
Still up for the year.
Yeah, we had a good week last week, which made up for the bad week the week before.
Yep. Now, and we can just get your dad to play with us all the time. I think he's down a ton for the year already.
Don't we seem to win when he plays with us?
Yeah, it seems like more often than not.
He comes to the table, and I don't know if it's him or what, but
I'm sure it's him.
Yeah, it seems like things kind of change. He did have a good roll.
Yeah.
And I've got to say this to everybody. Mark has been on just a major good streak of rolling.
Thank you. Yes, I have.
Your rolling has been excellent.
Yep.
Mine has been the antithesis of yours.
It's been pretty bad.
It's been terrible.
Yep.
But yours has been very, very good.
Yep. There was 1 week there where I made a point every time I rolled.
Yes.
Yeah,
and this last week, you rolled great.
Yeah, it was another good one.
Why don't I pass the dice?
Well, I keep telling you should, and you never do. Hey, you know what, folks? This is true. I've passed the dice many times in my life.
Yes.
I have never seen Mike pass the dice.
And you know what?
Never.
You know what? You probably never will.
Never will.
No matter how bad I roll, I'm going to roll.
Yeah, that's true.
I like it.
Yeah, that's true.
Just don't bet on me. I announced it this week. I said, I'm going to roll, everybody. I'm sucked. Don't bet on me.
Feel free to bet the don't.
Yeah, feel free to bet the don't. Make some money.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Good night.